By this point, your father,
your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather,
and almost any Pokemon fan that has ever seen a YouTube video knows this simple fact. The original Diamond and Pearl did not have many fire types. Out of the 151 Pokemon in the regional Diamond Pearl Sinnoh Dex, a whole 5 of them are fire types, or a little over 3%. Now, 3 of these 5 Pokemon are part of the starting Chimchar line, so if you only wanted to count fire-type Pokemon that are available to any player, regardless of which starter they choose, you just get Ponyta and Rapidash. This is why Elite Four member Flint only has 2 actual fire types, and a makeshift Sun team despite being the Sinnoh fire-type specialist. Okay, this leads us to the obvious question of, yeah, you've seen the title and thumbnail. I'm going to pretend that I was somehow a part of the Game Freak development or planning team, before Diamond and Pearl were even in the oven, and constrain myself to just the first 4 generations. I'd like the ratio of available fire-type Pokemon to be somewhat close to prior games, and to get a rough estimate of what I should aim for, take a look at the spreadsheet that I spent a stupidly needless amount of time making look pretty just for this one little bit. Look at it and appreciate it. I'm not looking to add a perfect number of fire types to this new hypothetical Sinnoh Dex, instead using this as a general guideline to better diversify the type ecosystem. And with that established, let's move on to the potential candidates and see what fire types should have been added. The original Diamond Pearl had access to the Chimchar line and the Ponyta line available to every player if they didn't choose Chimchar as their starter. Now right off the bat, I think Pokemon from the Slugma line, Numa line, and Torkoal don't need to be made available in the main story, since they are common wild Pokemon already found in the post-game's volcanic areas in the northeasternmost part of Sinnoh. I will also exclude the Vulpix and Growlithe lines, solely because I think the GBA insertion mechanic needed to get them was a novel idea at the time, and I didn't want to completely remove that. Okay, and besides, they would be made available during the upcoming Heart Gold Soul Silver anyway, so did you really miss out on anything? And just like that, half the script is gone. I've saved myself so much time. The first real candidate is Flareon, which you can obtain from the gift Eevee from BB in Heart Home City. But instead of being a post-game Pokemon, I think the gift Eevee should be attained earlier, just like in Platinum version. Yep, we had today's side tangent. I think in every future mainline Pokemon game going forward, Eevee should be made available somewhat early on as a makeshift second starter, instead of an Elemental Monkey or a Mega Kanto starter. I like the Mega Kanto starters. I even like the Elemental Monkeys. But I think Eevee would make a much better second starter Pokemon for trainers, as it allows the players to choose what it should evolve into, and what gaps in the party you could fill out. If you didn't take the water starter and you need a bulky water type on your team, there's Vaporeon. Maybe you need greater offensive pressure but didn't take the region's fire starter, then there's Flareon. Hopefully they give it an actual workable moveset one day. Or why just limit yourself to the starter types? Maybe you need a completely different role or type to round out your team. Well, who other than the evolution Pokemon to fill the specific gaps in your team with the type of your choosing? Eevee should be an early gift Pokemon in future games from now on, and so with that, I give Eevee/Flareon an absolute fire rating. The next candidates I want to look at are Houndour and Houndoom, who were available in Pearl version in the post-game with the Pokeradar, but were made available in Platinum's main story. Nothing wrong with the 2 Hellhounds, but I do not give my letter of recommendation to include them in the Sinnoh regional Dex. It's just that in Platinum's story they were heavily associated with Team Galactic, and the only trainers that I could find using Houndour are random galactic grunts, and Houndoom only being used by Cyrus and Flint. Of course it's Flint again. It's not fair to Houndour and Houndoom, but they are seen as evil Pokemon used by the villainous organization, and I couldn't find any normal trainers that use them in Platinum version at all, and thus have been relegated solely to a villainous role. Unless there are trainers that use them and I completely missed them. If that's the case, someone please fact check me on that. If you can find it, you deserve a lava cookie. So for this reason, I do not give Houndour and Houndoom a fire rating. Again, nothing wrong with them, it's just they're a little bit too associated with Team Galactic, and have no other significant presence in Sinnoh otherwise. But the next candidates I strongly recommend they be present in the Sinnoh Dex, and absolutely should have been in there in the first place, the Magby line. One of Sinnoh's most iconic features is how they made so many new evolutions for previous Pokemon, only to lock most of them behind the post-game. What the heck, guys? One of those Pokemon being the new evolution of Magmar, Magmortar. If it were up to me, the Magby line should have been made available during the main story just like in Platinum, as it's a great fire type that is a strong showcase for Sinnoh's new evolution theme, and it being Flint's new signature Pokemon in Platinum has an iconic presence in the games. With these points, the Magby line gets a definitive fire rating from me. Oh wait a minute. If I include Magmortar, then I also have to throw in Electivire too, since Magmortar and Electivire are counterpoints to each other, and they have a lot of the same roles showcasing new evolutions for older Pokemon. There's also the crucial fact that Gym Leader Volkner has a lot of the same problems as Flint, though not as severe. A total lack of Pokemon that are the types they specialize in, and so they need to build a fringe makeshift team to try and make up for it. Also, the two have a nice multi-battle in the post-game where you and your rival have to team up against Flint and Volkner, and the two of them each have a quadruped mammalian Pokemon, an evolution, oh hey, they like my EV idea, and a Sinnohan evolution of a Kanto Pokemon, who also got baby pre-evolutions in Johto that are the actual types they specialize in. It all just fits together. Even more reason to give Magmortar the fire rating. To summarize what I've talked about in this video, Sinnoh is infamously known for its lack of fire types in its regional decks, as it only contained the Chimchar line and the Podino line. If I were somehow put in charge of the game's type diversity during Diamond and Pearl's development, I would have added an Eevee/slash Flareon and the Magby line. Oh, and the Elekid line too, because they come in a package. The Vulpix and Growlithe lines don't get my fire rating to fulfill a long-dead cross-generational game mechanic, and because you can wait a couple years to get them in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, come on. Houndour and Houndoom don't get my approval because they're sadly only used to fulfill an evil role in the Sinnoh story, and all the common fire Pokemon found in the post-game I didn't include, since you were going to find them in the post-game anyway. But what do you think of my ideas? Should I have included those Pokemon into the Sinnoh Dex anyway? Was I too harsh on Houndour and Houndoom? Do leave a comment with your opinion and subscribe for the next upload, whenever that may be. Do I get a fire rating too? I deserve it. Good God, I'm melting out here. Whoever doesn't believe in climate change needs to get tied down to asphalt in midday.